I'm not sure how interesting this video is going to be, so feel free to click away right now. But maybe somewhere, someone will find this helpful, but I doubt entertaining. G'day, my name's Kev, and my aim is to help people build and maintain their ponds without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, you might like to subscribe and visit my website, ozponds.com. So this pond's now 5 years old, and I'm recording this, it's the last month of winter here in Australia. I'm in southern Australia near Melbourne for anyone wondering. It does get pretty cold down here, not like snow and ice cold, but the water is sitting around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, or a bit above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, the pond looks a bit shite. There's plenty of string algae, the plants are all a bit overgrown for my liking. The water's still clear and healthy though. And today's actually quite a nice day, the sun's out, it's not raining, so I want to do a little maintenance, and I thought I'd grab some footage and ramble on about how I maintain this pond and how I think about the overall ecosystem. Like I said, the pond's now 5 years old, and every winter it grows a certain amount of algae. Yet in the warmer months it looks quite pristine. There's quite a lot of filtration, aeration and circulation on this pond. It has two good sized DIY bog filters, I'll show you those in a bit. It's got a long slow moving stream that has loads of plants and a DIY filter with bioballs and sponges at the top of the stream. The stream has its own pump and each bog filter has its own pump. There are also circulation jets running off another pump, so 4 pumps all up. These are all variable speed pumps. The capacity is 15,000 litres per hour per pump, but I have them running at around 40% consumption at the moment. And there's also an aerator. The pond itself somewhere around 20 to 30,000 litres I estimate. That's about like 5,500 gallons to 8,000 gallons. I've never measured it properly, so this is just what I estimated while I was designing it and sizing the filters. 3 of the pumps sit inside an intake bay, which acts like a skimmer. It pulls in surface debris. I have another pump that sits in a barrel that sits off to the side right next to the intake bay. The idea of this was to pull some water off the bottom of the pond. If I were to build the pond again, I'd just place that pump in the intake bay as well. Some debris still settles in the pond. The aerator, the jets and all that circulation help to move anything that is suspended off into the intake bay, so the water column itself is pretty clean. So that surface debris or debris that gets stirred up finds its way into the intake bay, and that can be netted out with a fine mesh skimming net, or if you're lazy like me, especially when the weather's cold, it gets neglected for months at a time. And so all that stuff accumulates in there and it breaks down, leaves, twigs, fish poo, dust, all kinds of things. Once the particles are small enough to make their way through the pebble that's inside the intake bay, they get sucked up by the pumps and deposited into the bog filters, or the stream filter, or they get sucked up by the jet pump and blasted back into the main pond, and hopefully sucked into the intake bay again, or they just settle on the base of the pond until something stirs them up. When the weather is warm, sometimes untanned animals get in to help stir stuff up and move it on to the intake bay. And that's one of the reasons why the pond always looks better in the warmer months. I'm more active in and around the pond, and therefore more waste's being stirred up and sent to the filters, whereas in winter I'm just not doing it. And because I spend more time around the pond in warmer weather, I'll also pick up a net and scoop out the intake bay, I'll thin out some plants, and if there's algae I'll remove it. It's fun playing in the pond when it's warm. But then back to winter when it's cold and I'm lazy, I'm not actively removing any waste or nutrient that builds up, so that can help to fuel the algae growth. There's also other factors at play. In cold water, the processes that break down leaves and poo and other stuff are all happening slower. The little organisms that break down this stuff are less active as well. Whereas in summer they're thriving, firing on all cylinders, taking the stuff that falls into the pond and converting it into various compounds that can be used up by the pond ecosystem. And the plants are also actively growing. They're pulling those converted nutrients out of the water and using them to create new stems, leaves and roots. So basically in the warmer weather, the combination of me helping remove waste and the pond being better at processing the waste, the pond just looks better. Now in my smaller courtyard pond I don't have a winter algae problem, so you might be wondering, is the filter better or are the plants better? But it's basically the exact same system, but on a smaller scale. It has a DIY bog filter, it has a stream, an aerator, and a DIY skimming system. But there are a couple of differences. This one has goldfish and white cloud mountain minnows in it. Now I'm not sure about the white clouds, but in colder water the goldfish prefer a more fibre-based diet, and the algae can help with that. So the goldfish are constantly grazing on the algae and keeping it in check. And because the pond is smaller, it's so easy for me to get in there and net out a little stuff from time to time, even if it is cold. Because I don't need to get wet, whereas in the bigger pond I can't reach everywhere with my pond nets or my pond vacuum. So you're probably thinking, well Kev, why not just throw some goldfish in the big pond? And I have thought about it. But I always wanted this pond to be for native fish. The biggest problem I have is the birds, and they're relentless. I've seen the herons crushing up yabbies and luring the fish to the edge for a quick meal. The cormorants are impossible, they dive in and hunt them in every nook and cranny. The fish caves are useless. And then there's the wild ducks. I can't keep them away and I've just basically given up. The little pygmy perch seem to be prolific breeders. They're shy and fast, and they've been able to maintain a self-sustaining population. I used to have rainbow fish and blue eyes hanging out in there as well, but they just tend to stay on the surface and they get scooped up too easily. I do have a few heavily planted ponds around the property that are doing better at keeping those populations going, although the birds are still trying. I would like to try some silver perch this year. I'm hoping they might be shy enough, but we'll see. They're also omnivores, so they might eat a little algae, which would be nice. But I've gotten a little bit sidetracked. All this to say that what you put inside the pond can help you maintain it. Like big fish in a big pond can help stir stuff up and send it off to your filters. Or little scavengers like shrimp can be great in a small pond with no predators that will demolish them. Every pond's a bit different. It's all about the amount of waste and debris that ends up inside the pond and how that's either removed or cycled up into the food chain. So back to my algae-filled pond and my nice winter's day, where I was inspired to do some maintenance. So I started with just a net. There was a bunch of azolla that it's made its way over into the intake bay, and it was also trapped in a lot of the plants on the margins. I didn't introduce the azolla into the pond, the ducks did that. Floating plants, well really any plant, are great at absorbing nutrients, but if you let them die off into the pond, they haven't removed anything. So being able to remove some of that is beneficial. I also busted out the pond vac so I could try and suck up some of the algae and sediments that have accumulated inside the pond. Again, anything I can remove before it dies and breaks down inside the pond helps reduce the nutrient load, which can help reduce algae. The algae is just better equipped in these colder waters than the bacteria to take up the nutrients. I did try some cold water bacteria this year, but it was after the algae had started. I have a funny relationship with bacteria products. I think you just need to do what works for you. But basically, bacteria is more active in warmer water. Even the cold water bacteria process sludge and nutrients at a slower pace than their warm water counterparts. So I netted and vacuumed for a bit. It was quite therapeutic sucking up the green strands of algae. The PondVac I own is an Oasis PondVac 4 if anyone's interested. It's okay, it suits my needs. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. That pump I mentioned earlier in the barrel, it feeds one of the bog filters, and I could tell the flow was diminished, so I needed to check the pump. Because this pump isn't inside the intake bay, there isn't anything pre-filtering the water, so the cage around the pump used to get constantly clogged. Then a few years back I got a coarse sponge and created a bit of a pump burrito, and this has worked well. It was probably 6 months ago that I gave it a good clean, and that's much better than every 2 weeks before I made the burrito. I do get asked a lot about plumbing, connecting flexible pipe, elbow fittings and whatnot. So here you can see that they're a flexible pipe and it's glued to rigid PVC elbow fittings, and then I have these rubber couplings that I can unclamp to remove the pump. Maybe someone finds that helpful. Now, even with the burrito, I still don't sit the pump right on the bottom of the barrel. If you sit your pump on the floor, it's just going to constantly get clogged. The barrel's like 3 or 4 foot deep, That's 90 to 120 centimetres, but the pump sits about halfway. Another problem with any pond when you put a pump on the bottom of the pond is you can completely drain the pond if there was a plumbing leak. For the most part, I prefer to run my plumbing lines inside the liner, but this isn't always feasible or ideal. The pumps inside the intake bay are fine because if there was a leak, it'll only drain down to the opening to the intake bay. Skimmers are the same. I hope this diagram helps make sense of that. After I mucked around with the pump, I moved on to the bog filters. I didn't want to do a full drain and flush because we've had a lot of rain recently and I have a high water table. If I completely drain the filter and there's water under the liner, I might create a problem because I used a half pipe trench liner to build this filter and there's no solid bottom, so even though there's all the weight of the rock and the pebble above it, I don't want to get a bubble in that trench liner that I might not know about till it either blocks the flow or causes a leak, so better safe than sorry. These filters have another one of those barrels like I had in the pond. Here the barrel's connected to that trench liner that I just mentioned. Above the trench liner is different size rock and pebble. Basically the water's pumped into the bottom of the filter. The trench liner lets the flow slow, spread it out, and rise up evenly throughout the filter. The rock and pebble provide a home for good bacteria, like we mentioned earlier, and a host of other beneficial critters. The filter also has plants, and this combination helps purify the water before it's returned to the pond via a small stream. A certain amount of waste that passes through the pump gets trapped in the bog filter, so that barrel gives me access to the very bottom of the filter. That means that I can completely drain the filter, backflush it if necessary, and remove a lot of waste. Like I said, today I wasn't doing a full drain and flush, but I have showed that before in other videos. So I just put the pond back in and removed whatever had accumulated inside the barrel. At first the water was muck filled, but once I got this easy to remove stuff, the water went clear, so I moved on to the next filter and repeated the same process. At some stage in the coming months, when it's a bit warmer, I'll do a full drain and flush and I'll thin out a lot of the plant growth. Then over the warm weather they can regrow and absorb a bunch of nutrient. There's a whole system I use to size the bogs, the pump flow rates, the intake bays, etc. and you can learn more about that on the Ozponds website if you're interested. You'll also find links to the products I like to use, diagrams, other helpful videos, and stories from DIY pond builders all around the world. So that's pretty much all I did on this particular day. It by no means bring the pond up to scratch, but it's a start. I'm looking forward to when the weather warms up, and it doesn't hurt to put your hands or feet into the water. The algae does bother me a little bit, but after living with the pond for 5 years, I know that it's only temporary, and soon it'll be beautiful again. At the moment, it's helping purify the water, while all the other processes are a bit more dormant. If you want me to do an update in a few months, let me know in the comments. Anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, you might be a crazy person, or you fell asleep. But who knows, maybe you found it helpful. If that is somehow the case, I'd love if you could give the thumbs up button a little tickle for me. Thanks for watching. See ya.